as the gaming world zeroes in on what could be the biggest launch the industry has ever seen. Pre-orders for Grand Theft Auto 6 have been open for almost 24 hours now, setting off a global rush for a title that's been more than a decade in the making. It's already testing how much more gamers are willing to pay. With an $80 base price, a push towards digital-only distribution and expectations of billions in sales, Grand Theft Auto 6 is not just a game launch, it could redefine pricing power, monetization and the economics of blockbuster gaming. Some even see it as an early test of consumer sentiment. Shares of Take-Two Entertainment have rallied since the pre-orders were announced. Well, joining us now is Joost van Dreunen, who teaches about the video game industry at the NYU Stern School of Business. He is also the author of the book One Up, Creativity Competition and the Global Business of Video Games. Professor, thanks so much for joining us today. And I just wonder if we could start by having you set the scene for us. I don't think it's underselling it to call this a cultural event. Grand Theft Auto 5, 12 years ago, sold $1 billion worth in 3 days. I mean, that's bigger than any movie, book, or any other cultural release ever. What are your expectations for Grand Theft Auto 6?
My expectations are even bigger. You get the sentiment, but so often our attention goes towards tech industries and their ability to scale and excite consumers. But games and culture tend to be those key moments in any of these companies' histories where they define the next generation. And so Grand Theft Auto 5 was a blowout success by many standards, and the expectation is that Take-Two will be able to repeat and excel that earlier example. Early sales indicators give you forecasts of around 38 million copies in the first 12 months, somewhere between $3 and $3.2 billion for the company in total revenues. It's hard to overestimate it. The question is not whether it's going to be a big cultural moment. It is whether or not it's been priced into the stock already.
Yeah, and Professor, I was there 12 years ago when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, and I filed a story, some of which we'll just show you on Bloomberg. Yeah, it was amazing. And you had to buy a physical copy back then and still queue up to buy the thing. Now, this edition has been delayed for some years. Can you give us a sense of just how much time, how much money has been invested in bringing this to market, and how important it is for Take-Two Interactive?
That's an excellent question, and I'm happy to hear that you were part of the team back then. It's a 12, 13-year development cycle. These companies, they tend to start immediately after launch on the next thing. It's part of how they de-risk the financial model that comes with this. You have to imagine, employing thousands of people for that long of a period. You're talking about $1 billion easily. It's probably closer to $1.5 billion, $2 billion total in what they sank into development and marketing, and so the risk profile is substantial. However, the upside is enormous, right? You already pointed out within 3 days they sold $1 billion the last time around. That's probably going to be a repeat this time around, and it's a immense moment for Take-Two Interactive. What's different, of course, is that back then everything was very much physical. It was very much a product-based business where you would sell a single copy to a consumer. Since then, we've moved into digital distribution and particularly microtransactions and what Take-Two likes to call recurrent revenue from its consumer base. That has been an enormous accretive source of income to their revenue model. And so out of the $5 billion that they currently make annually, they're going to add another $3 billion on top of that. And so in many ways, it's not just a continuation of the success of a franchise, but it's also an evolution of how they do business with their consumer base.
Yeah, no, it was interesting to see that transition because the long gap, that was that period that online gaming became extremely popular, and then Grand Theft Auto 5 just keep making more and more money in the interim. Is that something you anticipate we'll see with Grand Theft Auto 6 to the degree that we might never see a Grand Theft Auto 7?
That's an excellent question. So for me, the difference between Take-Two Interactive and, say, Electronic Arts or Roblox or any of those kind of companies is that what Take-Two is launching is not a new software title. What they're launching is effectively an operating system. Part of the financial success that we've seen over the last decade coming from this franchise alone has everything to do with being able to cater to and cultivate an online community, keeping people engaged. When you look at live streaming channels on Twitch and on YouTube consistently for a decade now, Grand Theft Auto, the franchise, franchise has been the number 2 on all of these channels. And so the audience engagement is something of a whole nother level. We're talking Taylor Swift, Beyonce type of category here, meaning that you have deep loyalty and you're selling in against that audience. So the real challenge is, can we transition those people from GTA 5 to GTA 6? Can we invite them over? And the way that they're doing that, of course, is by removing all of the obstacles. An $80 price tag for the base game, I think, is a very aggressive but earned, starting point. And from there on out, you can see, of course, the door open up to other additional things where unlocks occur really at a premium edition of $100. And my guess is that very soon we'll hear of like a $200 and $250 version that's a collector's edition. And so they're transitioning their audience not just from title to title, but from one digital, social, online environment into the next one, and with all the accoutrements that you would expect to go with that.
Yeah, you mentioned the price, which has caused a little bit of concern, but the true believers are probably going to pay anyway. But there's also no physical disc, which has made collectors unhappy. Those who wish to sell their games as well, secondhand, are not particularly happy too. What do you make of these sorts of developments in the video game industry, and what it means for loyalty from customers and for the reputation of the companies putting these products out?
It's a bit of a boondoggle. You have to imagine that people, of course, love it so much that they want to have something tangible. In the same category that you see music fans collect vinyl, you see movie buffs have the DVDs all lined up nicely. Gamers are very much the same in that they have an affinity for collecting things. For that exact reason, I think the base game is going to be digital, and that's the mainstream one for the people that just want to play, they want to be part of the cultural moment. But the diehards, they get an opportunity to get the special collector's edition. They're going to have like little statues and swag and keychains and what have you. It's not dissimilar from what you see in things like Pokemon or Nintendo franchises overall with Mario, where the upsell isn't only in more game content, it's also in a broader experience. I expect that Take-Two Interactive is going to be leaning into that very heavily. They have a rich history of coming up with really creative ways to sell their games and market their games and kind of keep people in the loop. And so for that reason, of course, there's going to be some hemming and hawing early on because it's an aggressive price point, and also it's only digital. But if you look at the numbers, 80 to 85% of Take-Two's revenue comes from digital channels, as is the case for every other publisher nowadays, right? So digital is regarded with some skepticism by consumers, but they all get into the pool anyway. So I think it's really about the upsell and enriching the experience for the audience.
There's evidence that other developers have been avoiding releasing games during this period because of the imminent arrival of GTA 6. What evidence have you seen of that, and how long do you see this game just sucking the oxygen out of the broader ecosystem?
Yeah, it's a real problem for publishers. So last year we have had a few delays on GTA 6, and as a result, you see Electronic Arts in a season ago do very well with Battlefield 6. Of course, it's a great game, but also very clearly that was in the absence of GTA 6. They were able to kind of claim the market for themselves. Nobody should, in their right mind, go against one of the largest releases in a franchise history, only to know that they're going to lose out, right? This is very much a blockbuster-driven market. Winner takes most. You win or you die in gaming, and so to go up against Strauss Zelnick and Grand Theft Auto 6, you'd be stupid to do that. And so you want to kind of give them the runway, give them the road, see how audiences react. Chances are that there is still going to be some gravitational pull from sort of the Fortnites and the Roblox type games out there, because live services games, they tend to have deep loyalty and people play those games as part of a routine of daily life. Often around AAA launches, you'll see sort of a 2-week absence, you see a drop in usage, and then very quickly people move back once they've cleared the first-person campaign. In this case, GTA 6 launches with the first-person campaign. So for that reason, I think we're going to see 2-3 weeks of absenteeism around everywhere else. There's going to be a quiet marketing. There's going to be fewer people on the servers everywhere else. And then slowly they'll get back to what they were playing beforehand. But, it is really up to Take-Two. They have the initiative right now.
Yeah, and to your point, I mentioned during my story 12 years ago that if you recognized anybody in the footage, you should take a good look because you won't be seeing them for a while. But more broadly, what is this game release going to tell us about consumer sentiment, if anything? Or is this game just sort of a one-off where people just find the money to buy it and upgrade their console?
It's really a question of if you're not playing GTA 6, are you really a gamer? It's sort of the big launch. Most people will identify very much through this in the same way that music and film can sort of define a generation. GTA is a franchise. It's defined a generation of gamers. So I suspect that that's going to be a big deal here. What it will change for the industry overall is that the premium titles can now start charging $80 a pop, right? EA does this already. Nintendo does this too with Mario Kart World. All of these are high-end, top-shelf games. Everybody else is going to have to hold short and be a little bit more modest in their pricing. But it speaks to really finding new ways to price consumers or offer a pricing scheme to consumers that suits them. After a period of consolidation where we look for economies of scale and really reaching out to the large-scale audiences and make games mainstream, more and more in recent years do we push into a luxury category where top shelf titles just command a higher price, and it really forces the question for everybody else in this space. Does Ubisoft have the potential to also charge $80 for its titles? I don't think so. I don't think that they're quite there yet. And so you have to then decide where you're going to be next as a publisher. Consumers will do the deciding for you if you don't.